Hello guys, I am Shalita welcoming you to the show Pharmacy and Medical Crash Course Division in the Knowledge Club online.
Today I will discuss on the rest of the part of human cell structure and organelles.
Stay tuned up to end because if you skip the lecture, you can miss our valuable points in between lecture. So stay tuned up to end. I am going to start today's episode. Let's start.
Organelles for energy production and detoxification. In addition to the jobs performed by the endomembrane system, the cell has many other important functions. Just as you must consume nutrients to provide yourself with energy, so must each of your cells take in nutrients, some of which convert to chemical energy that can be used to power biochemical reactions. Another important function of the cell is detoxification. Humans take in all sorts of toxins from the environment and also produce harmful chemicals as byproducts of cellular processes. Cells called hepatocytes in the liver detoxify many of these toxins. So, sixth organelle is the mitochondria. A mitochondria, plurally called the mitochondriae, is a membranous bean-shaped organelle that is the energy transformer of the cell. Mitochondria consist of an outer lipid bilayer membrane as well as an additional inner lipid bilayer membrane. The inner membrane is highly folded into winding structures with a great deal of surface area, called cristis. It is along this inner membrane that a series of proteins, enzymes and other molecules perform the biochemical reaction of cellular respiration. These reactions convert energy stored in nutrient molecules such as glucose into adenosine triphosphate, ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which provides usable cellular energy to the cell. Cells use ATP constantly and so the mitochondria are constantly at work. Oxygen molecules are required during cellular respiration, which is why you must constantly breathe it. One of the organ systems in the body that uses a huge amount of ATP is the muscular system because ATP is required to certain muscle contraction. As a result, muscle cells are packed full of mitochondria. Nerve cells also need large quantities of ATP to run their sodium-potassium pumps. Therefore, an individual neuron will be loaded with over 1,000 mitochondria. On the other hand, a bone cell, which is not nearly as metabolically active, might only have a couple hundred mitochondria. The mitochondrial matrix has an internal pH of around 8, which is approximately 0.9 pH units higher than that of inside internal space. Seventh type of organelle is the peroxisomes. Like lysosomes, a peroxisome is a membrane-bound cellular organelle that contain mostly enzymes. Peroxisomes perform a couple of different functions including lipid metabolism and chemical detoxification. In contrast to the digestive enzymes found in lysosomes, the enzymes within peroxisomes serve to transfer hydrogen atoms from various molecules to oxygen, producing hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. In this way, peroxisomes neutralize poisons such as alcohol in order that appreciate the importance of peroxisome. It is necessary to understand the concept of reactive oxygen species. Reactive oxygen species, ROS, such as peroxides and free radicals are the highly reactive products of many normal cellular processes, including the mitochondrial reactions that produce ATP and oxygen metabolism. Examples of ROS include the hydroxyl radical, the OH, H2O2 and superoxide O2-. Some ROS are important for certain cellular functions such as cell signaling processes, and immune responses against foreign substances. Free radicals are reactive because they contain free unpaired electrons. They are easily oxidize other molecules throughout the cell, causing cellular damage and even cell death. Free radicals are thought to play a role in many destructive processes in the body, from cancer to coronary artery disease. Peroxisomes, on the other hand, oversee reactions that neutralize free radicals. Peroxisomes produce large amount of the toxic H2O2 in the process, but peroxisomes contain enzymes that convert H2O2 into water and oxygen. These byproducts are safely released into the cytoplasm. Like miniature sewage treatment plant, peroxisomes neutralize harmful toxins so that they do not wreak havoc in the cells. The liver is the organ primarily responsible for the detoxifying the blood before it travels throughout the body, and liver cells contain an exceptionally high number of peroxisomes. Defense mechanisms such as detoxification within the peroxisome and certain cellular antioxidants serve to neutralize many of these molecules. Some vitamins and other substances found primarily in fruits and vegetables have antioxidant properties. Antioxidants work by being oxidized themselves, halting the destructive reaction cascades initiated by the free radicals. Sometimes, though ROS accumulate beyond the capacity of such defenses. Oxidative stress is the term used to describe damage to cellular components caused by ROS. Due to their characteristic unpaired electrons, ROS can set off chain reactions where they remove electrons from other molecules, which then become oxidized and reactive and do the same to other molecules, causing a chain reaction. ROS can cause permanent damage to cellular lipids, proteins, carbohydrates, and nucleic acid. Damaged DNA can lead to genetic mutations and even cancer. A mutation is a change in the nucleotide sequence in a gene within a cell's DNA, potentially altering the protein code by that gene. Other diseases believed to be triggered or exacerbated by ROS include Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, Parkinson's disease, arthritis, Huntington disease, and schizophrenia, among many others. It is noteworthy that these diseases are largely age-related. Many scientists believe that oxidative stress is a major contributor to the aging process. Number 8 type of organelle is the cytoskeleton. Much like the bony skeleton structurally supports the human body, the cytoskeleton helps the cells to maintain their structural integrity. The cytoskeleton is a group of fibrous proteins that provide structural support for cells, but this is only one of the functions of the cytoskeleton. Cytoskeletal components are also critical for cell motility, cell reproduction, and transportation of substances within the cell. The cytoskeleton forms a complex thread-like network throughout the cell consisting of 3 different kinds of protein-based filaments: microfilaments, intermediate filaments, and microtubules. The thickest of 3 is the microtubule, a structural filament composed of subunits of a protein called tubulin. Microtubules maintain cell shape and structure, help resist compression of the cell, and play a role in positioning the organelles within the cell. Microtubules also make up 2 types of cellular appendages important for motion: cilia and flagella. Cilia are found on many cells of the body, including the epithelial cells that line the airways of the respiratory system. Cilia move rhythmically, they beat constantly, moving waste material such as dust, mucus, and bacteria upward through the airways, away from the lungs and toward the mouth. Beating cilia on cells in the female fallopian tubes move egg cells from the ovary towards the uterus. A flagellum, the plural flagella, is an appendage larger than a cilia and specialized for cell locomotion. The only flagellated cell in human is the sperm cell that must propel itself towards female egg cells. A very important function of microtubules is to set the pulse, somewhat like railroad tracks, along which the genetic materials can be pulled. A process requires ATP during cell division, so that each new daughter cell receives the appropriate set of chromosomes. Two short identical microtubule structures called centrioles are found near the nucleus of cells. A centriole can serve as the cellular origin point for microtubules extending outward as cilia or flagella, or can exist with the separation of DNA during cell division. Microtubules grow out from the centrioles by adding more tubulin subunits, like adding additional links to a chain. In contrast with microtubules, the microfilament is a thinner type of cytoskeleton filament. Actin, a protein that forms chains, is the primary component of these microfilaments. Actin fibers, twisted chains of actin filaments, constitute a large component of muscle tissue and, along with the protein myosin, are responsible for muscle contraction. Like microtubules, actin filaments are long chains of single subunits called actin subunits. In muscle cells, these long actin strands, called thin filaments, are pulled by thick filaments of the myosin protein to contract the cell. Actin also has an important role during cell division. When a cell is about to split in half during cell division, actin filaments work with myosin to create a cleavage furrow that eventually splits the cell down the middle, forming two new cells from the original cell. The final cytoskeleton filament is the intermediate filament. As its name would suggest, the intermediate filament is a filament intermediate in thickening between the microtubule and microfilaments. Intermediate filaments are made up of long fibrous subunits of a protein called keratin that are wound together like the threads that compose a rope. Intermediate filament, in concert with the microtubule, are important for maintaining cell shape and structure. Unlike the microtubules, which resist compression, intermediate filaments resist tension, the forces that pull apart cells. There are many cases in which cells are prone to tension, such as when epithelial cells of the skin are compressed, tugging them in different directions. Intermediate filaments help anchor organelles together within a cell and also link cells to other cells by forming special cell-to-cell junction. Ninth organelle is the nucleus and DNA. The nucleus is the largest and most prominent of a cell's organelles. The nucleus is generally considered the control center of the cell because it stores all of the genetic instructions for manufacturing proteins. Interestingly, some cells in the body, such as muscle cells, contain more than one nucleus, which is known as multinucleated. Other cells, such as mammalian red blood cells, RBCs, do not contain nuclei at all. RBCs reject their nuclei as they mature, making space for the large numbers of the hemoglobin molecules that carry oxygen throughout the body. Without nuclei, the lifespan of RBCs is short, and so the body must produce new ones constantly. Inside the nucleus lies the blueprint that dictates everything a cell will do and all of the products it will make. This information is stored within DNA. The nucleus sends commands to the cell via molecule messenger that translate the information from DNA. Each cell in your body, with the exception of germ cells, contains the complete set of your DNA. When a cell divides, the DNA must duplicate it so that each new cell receives a full complement of DNA. So what is the organization of the nucleus and its DNA? Like most of the cellular organelles, the nucleus is surrounded by a membrane called the nuclear envelope. This membranous covering consists of two adjacent lipid bilayers with a thin fluid space in between them. Spanning these two bilayers are nuclear pores. A nuclear pore is a teeny passageway for the passage of proteins, RNAs and solids between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Proteins called pore complexes lining the nuclear pores regulates the passage of materials into and out of the nucleus. Inside the nuclear envelope is a gel-like nucleoplasm with solids that include the binding blocks of the nucleic acids. There also can be a dark staining mass often visible under a simple light microscope called a nucleolus. It is plural called nucleoli. The nucleolus is a region of the nucleus that is responsible for the manufacturing the RNA necessary for constructing of ribosomes. Once synthesized, newly made ribosomal subunits exit the cell's nucleus through the nuclear pores. The genetic instructions that are used to build and maintain an organism are arranged in an orderly manner in standard of DNA. Within the nucleus are threads of chromatin composed of DNA and associated proteins. Although the chromatin threads, the DNA is wrapped around a set of histone proteins. A nucleosome is a single wrapped DNA histone complex. Multiple nucleosomes along the entire molecule of DNA appear like a beaded necklace, in which the string is the DNA and the beads are the associated histones. When a cell is in the process of division, the chromatin condenses it into chromosomes so that the DNA can be safely transported to the daughter cells. The chromosome is composed of DNA and proteins. It is the condensed form of chromatin. It is estimated that humans have almost 22,000 genes distributed on 46 chromosomes. Revise it. I am damn sure you will require less time to remember all these structures. Write me at the comment box how much you enjoyed and time take to remember the cell structure after viewing today's episode. Next episode, we will discuss on the membrane transport system.
Before ending today's episode, if you like this video, please like, share and comment freely. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. If you already subscribed, then thanks a lot. And after subscribing our channel, please click on the bell button for getting the regular updates of Knowledge Club Online. I am coming with another episodes very shortly for you. Till then.